This man developed his own super rifle, but when the man tested the rifle's power, he realized that the target had been hit with a single bullet hole, but there was white smoke coming out of the back of the dirt. Several members of the team saw this and rushed forward to observe. Then they realized that the concrete was not only completely penetrated but also had a big hole in the back. Even the building next to it had a big hole in it. In order to maximize the power of the weapon, the men immediately replaced the battery with a new one. Then he asked his partner to set up a video camera to record the whole process as the men fired continuously in front of them. The bridge in the distance collapsed in an instant. They then showed the video to the military to sell the weapon for a good price. But the officer didn't think the video was enough to convince him of the weapon's power. So the officer asked the men to take the weapons to the range for inspection. When he saw the man take out a toy gun from his backpack, the officer immediately showed his disdain. Mark, however, looked very calm. Then he pulled the trigger on a heavy tank. The next moment, there was a powerful surge of air. The officer was so happy that he couldn't stop talking. In order to buy the rifle and its technology, he asked Mark what his offer was, but Mark offered $100 million. However, after hearing this, the chief immediately agreed and said that he would have the money together by noon tomorrow. But what Mark didn't expect was that as soon as he got back, the officer started investigating him. Soon it was time for the next day's transaction. At that moment, Mark thought he was going to make a fortune, but he was still worried that the officer might cheat, so he gave the goods to his teammates for safekeeping. When Mark arrived at the trading place, he found that the other party not only didn't have the money with him, but also threatened to deliver the goods with weapons. When Mark was about to run away, he realized that his family had also been kidnapped by the officer. Mark had no choice but to call his teammates and hand over the weapons and information to the other party. After confirming that the information was in order, they let Mark and his family leave. Soon Mark and his teammates arrived at the rooftop. They set up a signal booster here. Then they targeted the officer's car. It turns out that Mark has installed a locator on the weapon in advance. He was able to monitor the other side's movements through surveillance. Seeing that the vehicle is in range, Mark pulled out his second-generation super rifle. Although this weapon looks like a toy water pistol, its power and range are far greater than the first generation. Before the people in the car had time to react, Mark calmly pulled the trigger. With the sound of a violent explosion, the officer and the weapons data were burnt to ashes. But when Mark was about to leave, a police officer suddenly stopped him. But Mark did not panic in the slightest. A few simple talk to dispel the police suspicion, and so Mark succeeded in getting his revenge. In the end, he took his family away to a new city and lived happily ever after.